Hey. Okay, let's figure out how I did this. I went here, I think. Share. And there it was. Wait. Oh, I'm not going to invite myself because the audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to cancel that. Okay, we're live. Hi, everyone. Hi, Eric. Eric.
Oh, is that Eric
Yeah.
Klein?
Yeah.
What's up, E?
What's up, Eric?
Oh, we miss you. Can't wait for you to come back, brother. You have no idea.
Ah,
Hi.
hi.
Here we are.
Here we are, as per vision, as per
Mhm.
instruction. Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, let some people come in, I guess. Is that what they do?
I think that's what they
Kinda
do. We'll
waiting
just wait a
until some
minute,
people come in.
maybe two.
Hi, everybody that's there.
Aloha.
Hello from Kauai. And wow, it's been a minute. I haven't done a live, and I think the last time I did a live, I was crying
Oh,
right over here.
right away. Okay,
Yeah.
Great.
I think so. I really do. I think I was crying, sharing some vulnerable moments going through the process.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this one will be more joyful.
Yeah. You think they can hear us?
Can you guys hear us okay? Give us a little comment. Maybe Eric Klein, can you hear us okay? Do we need to speak louder? Let us know. Hopefully we'll go to see the comments. How's your vision?
It's not so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we're good.
Yes. Okay, awesome.
All right, let's
Okay,
start.
great.
Let's roll.
Okay, great. You want to start?
Yeah, I'm Eric, and this is Summer. And Summer and I met here in Kauai through the medicine, through Grandma Ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
And we sat in some ceremonies together. I don't know, how long ago was that? How many years ago?
The last few years, like at
Last
the
few
Tarot
years.
Patch, I think it was 3, over the last 3 years.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we became friends. And do you want to share your background?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Summer Nicole, and I've lived here on Kauai for about 9 years now, and my work in the world for about 20 plus years now is geared towards trauma resolution, and so I'm a somatic therapist, and I really help people recover and strengthen the nervous system and heal the inner child, and we do it all through this very body-based approach, which is somatic therapy. So for those of you that aren't familiar with somatic therapy, it is a bottom-up approach, meaning addressing the body and the nervous system to affect the brain. And so it's used for all types of trauma-related issues and addiction and grief and loss and all of that. And when I recently came to Eric's ceremony, there was a lot that came through the ceremony itself, but it was very interesting because my brain kind of sees everything through the lens of the nervous system at this point, just from my own training and my own healing journey and the way that I work with clients every day. And so it was really interesting in the ceremony, as I guess we just jump into the ceremony itself, yeah?
Yeah,
You
well,
wanna
just
add
to give a
anything?
little, a little bit of a backstory, because
Yeah.
when you said, "Oh, I was in ceremony with Eric," so obviously a lot of you know I've been working with ayahuasca for over 15 years, and 8 years ago, I started doing master plant dietas with the Shipibo. But about 2.5 years ago, I got a very clear calling from Grandma Ayahuasca that it was time for me to sit with her alone, which at that moment, it was a little terrifying, to be by yourself drinking ayahuasca in your home, and there's no shaman there, making sure that, if there's some dark spirits attacking you or whatever, that they're taking care of it. So I did that about 2.5 years ago, and I've probably sat in a little over 200 ceremonies by myself. And the reason why that happened was because after I went to a Vipassana meditation retreat, and I learned the technique that Buddha realized which spawned the Vipassana retreat centers all around the world. There's over 100 countries around the world that have Vipassana retreat centers, and it's a very laser focused, specific way that you meditate. And there's a mantra that we'll share in a little bit. I'll leave a little cliffhanger there for us. So I had this experience with Vipassana, and then the spirit of ayahuasca actually guided me to sit with the spirit of ayahuasca with the meditation practice of Vipassana. And that went on for about 2.5 years and over 250 ceremonies. So now I'm facilitating my own ceremonies, and Summer came to one. I think it was maybe my 5th or 6th one that I've been facilitating now. And Summer had a very profound experience, and it's what brought us here today to sit together and to share science meets spirituality.
Perfect. Great job.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Now we're going to get into the juicy stuff, the fun stuff.
Yeah, just to give you some context. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so yes, so in particular too, my interest in my interest is really in group healing. Like, I have group trauma healing programs online, and there's something very special I know about healing in community and healing in connection. And so one of the first things that I attune to any facilitator is their nervous system, and is my nervous system naturally picking up on safety and trust in this person. And so it's something, and this is like over the last 30 years that we know, like the most recent research of how we know the nervous system to work is that basically our nervous systems, we're all just social nervous systems walking around the earth, super influenced by each other. And basically our nervous system will pick up on autonomically, meaning automatically without our conscious control, will pick up on safety or threat. And it can come through, somebody's tone of voice or facial expression, if we want to move toward, and open and trust that person, or if it's like, I'm feeling not really safe, and, that really inhibits the healing process whenever someone doesn't feel trusting or safe. And so it's one of the things that I'm super picky. I've been in the healing and therapy world for 20 years and done a lot of trainings and different things, and I'm very picky about who holds space for me. And so for me, when Eric said, I'm facilitating serving the medicine, and it was just like a full body yes for me, it's like I already know that my nervous system is attuning to the regulation in his nervous system. And that doesn't come without a lot of work. And so I know right off the cuff, he's a man who's done his work and built this own capacity in his own nervous system, and resilience in his own nervous system to be able to show up, in a group space like serving medicine, to be able to show up in a regulated and balanced state. And I just want to emphasize that because it's of the utmost importance. Like, whether you're whoever you're sitting with, whoever you're allowing to hold space for you, whether it's one-on-one or in group work, it's super important. And so it's something that, at the beginning of the ceremony, and you started kind of talking about the instruction and everything, it's something I pick up on right away of like, the space, like people in the space are naturally autonomically, meaning automatically attuning to the safety and the regulation in his nervous system. And it's so important because if that's not there, then everyone else in the room, they're going to feel, and it might even be subconscious, that they will feel not totally trusting, not really willing to be totally open, and on some level not safe with this person. And when someone doesn't feel safe, and you're in a defensive state, it really inhibits, the healing process. And so ayahuasca, for example, is such an expander and such an illuminating medicine. And it can be a lot, and there can be a lot that comes through, and there can be a lot of, you know, emotional intensity, and a lot of like stimulus, you know, for a person, you know, to deal with. And so that just right there, I just want to kind of start there, which is like the facilitator and the nervous system and the capacity and the resilience of the facilitator's nervous system is of the utmost importance for the other people's nervous systems in the room to attune to a sense of safety.
I really appreciate that breakdown, and I'm realizing this is the first time that I ever sat down with a doctor and talked about this in this way. It's really cool. It feels good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm used to talking about a lot of different stuff, but yeah, I guess it's a testament, right, to the work, as you were saying, like that we arrived at this place and that you felt that way in ceremony. And then I think back to the experience that we had in the Shipibo ceremony when you called me over for help.
And I growled at you.
And you growled at me. But that was kind of like, you know, but for you and I, that was the beginning. Mm-hmm. That was the first time that I ever came over to you for help in ceremony. Yeah. And it worked out really well. Yeah. Yeah.
It did. It worked out well. Like, did he hear me growl at him? I'm pretty sure he did, yeah. Working through my own stuff around the masculine, you know?
Yeah.
In that ceremony, yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that piece?
No, I just really appreciate the breakdown. I get it, I understand it, frequency and vibration and the nervous system, and you know, just the understanding of what happens to us in our lives, throughout our lives, especially as children, when we're in these environments where it's a traumatic emotional experience. And what a lot of people don't understand is it creates, if it's really traumatic, it can create like almost like a glitch in your nervous system. It's like a scratch in the nervous system. It's a wound in the nervous system, and it stays there until you go back and revisit it and refill it, right? Because you're talking about not feeling safe to process, not feeling safe to feel emotion, not feeling safe to express emotion. And when we're children, that's exactly what children do. You know, you're with your mom and your dad, you're 6 years old, you're not thinking about it, you're feeling. We're more in the state of feeling than we are in thinking, right? Kids will just say whatever they want to say based off of what they're feeling. Feelings come first, and that's what happens with us. We lose that along the way, and I believe that comes from the imprinting of behavioral programming that comes from our parents, from one generation to the next, and that's within our DNA. And it changes the way that we operate in the world. You know, a lot of people can just be in a state of fight or flight all the time. Because the nervous system's got all these wounds in it, and so it's picking up on frequencies that are all around us. Not safe, not safe, not safe, not safe, right? And then those programs are running. So thank God for Grandma Ayahuasca to clean all this out.
Totally. This is a cool segue just for a piece around trauma, because you bring that's perfect segue, which is for everything you're talking about, like as a child, all of that is like it's our body responding to safety, not safety, you know, it's our body responding to it. So all of the trauma gets held in the body. And you know, one of the definitions of trauma is it's an incomplete response of the nervous system. And so, like, if, you know, a little kid didn't get to run away when they really wanted to run away, you know, or you didn't get to fight back whenever you really wanted to fight back, and that sympathetic energy, you know, that stressful energy gets stuck and gets lodged in the body. And so that you know, somatic therapy is very much about how can we allow the nervous system and the body, the physical body, to actually play out that incomplete response. And I just want to tie this to a piece in the ceremony, which is, you know, you encouraged us to, if the body wants to, you know, shake or has twitches or whatever, like, let that happen. And I was really appreciative of that because, you know, as a somatic therapist, I'm constantly encouraging my clients to follow the somatic urge, of the body, follow the physical urge of the body and what it wants to do, because the body holds so much wisdom, you guys, like a crazy amount of intelligence in the body, and we're just really taught to not listen to it. We're programmed to not really listen to it and to kind of check out. And so that's a really big piece of the ceremony. It's like he wasn't asking us, like, you did ask us to sit up, but there wasn't like, oh, you have to be like kind of in Vipassana, you have to be stoically like still, or something in meditation. And it's like, that, this is a total side note, this could be a whole other Instagram live, but like some people that do that and their default is a freeze response, and that's what they go to, and they go to a still meditation, like it's kind of an acceptable spiritual practice. It's a spiritual practice that's like an acceptable freeze response, which like really
but it's resistance.
Yeah. And so following that urge, like, and I appreciated when you said that, like, let the body shake, let the body twitch. Like, if something needs to happen, if the body's showing you something that it wants to do, as whatever information's being given to you, downloads, emotional responses, let it happen. And so that part was really important, and it was one of the pieces where like, oh, ding, this is how it's related to somatic therapy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that brings the mantra into play.
Perfect. Would you like to share the mantra?
Yeah, just to speak to what Summer is talking about, over these last 2.5 years, what I've experienced in these ceremonies was bringing the Vipassana technique into my ceremonies. And it's not really a mantra from Vipassana. I just kind of took the words from Vipassana and I made my own mantra that I felt was the easiest way to digest for a passenger in an ayahuasca ceremony. And so the mantra goes like this: objectively observe the sensations in your body equanimously. And that word equanimously, or equanimity, I believe that word came from Buddha's realization of the Vipassana technique, because that's exactly what the Vipassana technique is. You're objectively observing whatever it is that you're feeling. And what does that mean? It means that you're not going to judge any feeling that comes up, and you're not going to run towards some kind of blissful sensation. To objectively observe yourself equanimously is the middle lane. A lot of masters talk about this, find the middle lane, find the middle lane. We live on a planet of duality, right? We have light and dark, and we put labels of good and bad, but it's negative and positive energy. And so when you bring this understanding and you bring this mantra to an ayahuasca ceremony, the whole point of doing an ayahuasca ceremony is that we are invoking the spirit of ayahuasca to do the healing for us. You could go to see somebody like Summer, and you could talk and talk and talk and talk, and you have to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig.
Which isn't what I do, but
or you could.
We go through the body, but
talk through therapy. The body, right?
But talk therapists, you do that.
Right, talk therapy. So you're just communicating with the body.
Yeah, like allowing the body's wisdom to come up and out. Yeah.
So that's that's what exactly this is, right? So you have to find the information that the person experienced in their life that is causing them to feel uncomfortable in their body. So depression, anxiety, and whatever, insecurities and judgments and fear and all of this stuff, it all comes from experiences that we've had in the past, and more than not, it comes from your family, from your mom and your dad, your brother, your sister, your grandmother, and your grandfather. So you're born into this home where there are generational behavior patterns that are playing out, and you're this little baby, like a cute little sponge, just soaking up and sucking up all this information that's being projected at you from everybody in your house. And a lot of times that can be traumatizing. It seems like everybody gets traumatized from their childhood. But so what Grandma Ayahuasca does is, the beauty of this is you drink this medicine and you have to get out of the way and allow her to come in and bring those feelings to the surface. And your job, it's sometimes easy, sometimes not, but if you follow the mantra and you keep practicing, it gets easier and easier and easier, because when you become the objective observer, and here's the wisdom behind this. The understanding is that we, humans, are governed by the laws of nature. Here on this planet Earth, we're made up of air, fire, water, and earth. That's what your body is made up of. That's what's going on here on Earth. Air, fire, water, and earth. Well, those four elements are constantly interacting with each other in the same exact way. Those are the laws of nature. The sun is going to interact with the water same way all the time. When the wind blows across the ocean, it reacts the same way every time. A little bit more intense sometimes, maybe a little less intense. When the water falls from the sky, it goes down into the earth, it goes into the aquifers, and then it comes back up, and it goes back up into the sky. So there's this toroidal field of energy where energies are coming in and energies are going out. It's expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. Women know about that very well by giving birth. So, but it's happening everywhere all the time. So this mantra, objective observation of the sensations in my body equanimously, means that when the medicine comes on in the ceremony and all those feelings start to arise, I get still. And I surrender and I let go and I give my body, every cell in my body, to the spirit of ayahuasca, and trust that the air, fire, water, and earth that I'm made up of is going to go back into harmony when I empty my mind and allow the emotion that's stuck in my body to move freely. Soon as the mind starts to judge, criticize, you go into a fearful judging place, or you see some big bright light and you want to run to it and run away from whatever it is that you're feeling, it causes more suffering. And that's basically the message that I have, and what I like to offer to people when they come to my ceremonies. And it makes your ceremonies a whole lot easier and a lot more magical. Would you say?
Totally. I walked away being like, oh, that was such a grounded, embodied way to do medicine work. And as part, it was like kind of the second half, I think, of the ceremony for me, where Eric wasn't actually talking, but he was talking. I heard his voice, and it was like different things that he'd already said, like in the beginning of the ceremony, different instructions and such. And then my brain was going doot doot doot, like, and oh, this is how it relates to, somatic therapy, and then like, oh, doot doot, this is how it relates to the nervous system, and oh, this is how it relates to, some of the other stuff we'll talk about. And then I like literally had a vision of us doing an Instagram live, which I thought was really funny in the moment, because I was like, why is Instagram coming into my ayahuasca ceremony? I thought it was funny. But what I'd love to add to that mantra, and why I think it's so powerful, is most people with trauma and where they've been chronically dysregulated most of their life, and if that's the case, like a lot of people will be in a state of freeze, even if it's like a functional freeze response. So this looks like people feeling disconnected and can't hold eye contact with people, and they really want to withdraw, and they can be depressed and have shame, and really just want to be small and hide. And this freeze response, one of the behaviors that automatically happens with the freeze response is dissociation. And so dissociation is like we check out of the body, we're somewhere else. And that pattern, you could say, it's a protective mechanism that started, as a pattern that started when we were a child and had some sort of overwhelming trauma, that was happening. And it's a protective mechanism to keep us safe. So it's actually a very intelligent protective mechanism that kept us safe as a child. But what happens is that, because most people have what's called diffuse complex trauma, so it's like the little t trauma, where it's like over the years of their entire childhood, there was like a lot of little things like neglect or emotional or verbal abuse, you know, or loss, or, you know, things, instability in their caregivers. They have a whole bunch of them over the span of their childhood, right? And so they develop this, their system intelligently has this pattern of like, ooh, I'm going to leave, you know, if this is overwhelming. But what happens is, as we grow up and as we become adults, that dissociative pattern becomes kind of like our default. And so instead of our default being, you know, safety and like connection and openness, it becomes, you know, disconnection and not feeling safe and not wanting to connect with people and not really feeling trusting of anyone. And so that dissociative pattern, again, it happens autonomically. It happens automatically. We're not consciously choosing to dissociate. And so one of the things that really struck me about, you know, Eric using the mantra during the ceremony is like, oh, this is helping people stay in the body. And it's helping people move through what can be really deep, you know, intense medicine work in a really embodied way. And it's what I take people through all the time, you know, not with medicine, but without medicine, which is, and just in daily life, it's very hard for people that have been dissociated for a long time it's like they don't have a great sense, a felt sense. Like they don't know how to feel or be with, for an extended period of time, physical sensation in the body. And so it's very much, you know, felt sense is very much a skill, you know, like that we have to develop, you know, when we've had that freeze response as our default for so long, we've been dissociated, you know, for so long. And so I was like really struck by, it was one of the things of like, oh, speak to this piece around why this mantra is so good for people really trying to rewire themselves from, you know, this kind of dysregulation, because it continually, if you have that mantra to come back to, it continually moves all mental energy into down and into the body, into awareness of physical sensation.
Yeah, amazing. I'm loving the breakdown, and definitely some things coming up. You know, we're talking about, you know, how trauma and emotion affect the body, and then Summer started to talk about this automatic response of the brain. And why does the brain automatically respond that way? Is because our brain is like a hard drive, right? We come in and it's like an empty hard drive, and then all these experiences, we are programmed. Our mind gets programmed by the behavior that we're experiencing of the people around us, right? And so what's fascinating to me about ayahuasca, and it's interesting, right? Because this ceremony, the way that we do these ceremonies, it's very intimate. There's no bells and whistles. There's no, you know, a whole bunch of musicians playing music and singing songs, and they're flipping through their pages and they're talking to each other, and there's a lot of movement and candles are lit in the ceremonies. These ceremonies are dark. There's a very specific playlist, and there's you, grandma, the mantra, and whatever's going on inside of your body that needs to heal. And so we create that environment so you're not distracted, so that you can peacefully drop into your body and surrender, because it's not that easy in the beginning, like anything. If you've never played an instrument before, you pick it up for the first time, it's you can't do it, you know. But day after day after day after day, you keep doing it, and then you practice, and then you get more comfortable. And really, ayahuasca is the same, because in the over 500 ceremonies I've done, 2 of them have never been the same. They're always different, and the reason why is because when you're going into an ayahuasca ceremony, it's like there's a filing cabinet over here of all of your life's experiences. And grandma goes, okay, we're going to take out this file and we're going to work on this. And then the next ceremony, we're going to pull out this file. And this ceremony, we're going to pull out this file. And you're peeling back the layers of the onion of compounded frequencies and vibrations of emotions that come from these traumas in your life, and you have to peel back the layers of the onion. And so, just to go back to this fascinating thing, and like what I've experienced with ayahuasca is literally watching my brain be deprogrammed. And it's like sometimes I'll have these experiences where it's like my body, it might sound scary, but it's not. It's actually really amazing. But I defragmatize. Is that a word?
Sure. Defragment?
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 Yeah, well, it's like I explode into like a trillion pieces.
Pixels.
Like pixels.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when that happens, there's like I've seen this happen in my experience, and then I'm watching my brain deprogram. And then the integration part of that, after the next week or two, you find yourself in a situation talking to somebody, or you're just operating the way that you normally would, and you're just not thinking about these things anymore. You're not reacting the way that you would have reacted, 2-3 weeks later before this experience happened. So there's really no telling like how deep you can go and how expansive ayahuasca can be, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. But it has the consciousness and the knowledge to liberate a soul, to liberate a physical body from suffering. And that's really what this is all about. And that's what Buddha was doing. Buddha was known as the Enlightened One. He liberated himself from suffering. And before I started with the ayahuasca, I had so much discomfort and pain in my body from injuries in my life, so much trauma to my physical body, being just burning the candle at both ends in extreme sports and going from one sport to the next and jumping off of cliffs and all that kind of stuff. And I had an L4, L5, my discs bulge and were out. And I was so uncomfortable. And now today, I have zero pain in my body. And it's just incredible to me that this mantra and that meditation and this magical tea, you just stay committed and keep on going back, and you can have a pain-free life. Yeah. Does anybody want that? Anybody else interested in that?
Yeah, there's also something to be said, like in regards to the mantra around, like if you think of what dissociation is, it's you're out of the body, like you're somewhere else. And if that's the case and you live your life from that place, energy can't move in the body. Emotion, energy, and motion, it can't move in the body. It stays stuck. And so think of like the opposite of dissociation would be presence in the body, right? Would be moving towards like a healthy level of embodiment. And so that mantra like helps people, especially like, anybody, all of us have had some sort of trauma, and we have like a very low capacity for stress, for connection, for feeling our emotions when we've been chronically dysregulated and had a lot of trauma. And so using something like that, this mantra, to come back to, I'm objectively observing the physical sensations in my body, equanimously, just brings like all of your energy, all of your power, all of your spirit into your body, so that you have full presence, of your life force energy in your body. And when that happens, energy can move, emotion can then move. And so it's why like so many people are so stuck and their body's so rigid, and like there's this systemic tension from this like usually decades of like chronic nervous system dysregulation, lifetimes, because their body doesn't feel safe. And so that's why I wanted to start with, the importance of any, facilitator, guide, teacher, therapist that you work with, that there is a sense of safety, that your system picks up on. Because if not, when your body doesn't feel safe, instinctively, like you might go somewhere else or be thinking about something else, and your presence isn't fully in the body, which it has to be fully in the body for any of that stuck emotion, you know, old repressed emotion and that stuck stagnant energy to move.
Nice. I'm over here big smiles because you get it, and that's awesome, and you experience that in the ceremony. See, it's I'm like proud, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like to hear somebody say it feels really good because this is all so new. You know, I've only been, you know, sharing this with people for probably a few months now.
I didn't know it was that new. Were you doing that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is all really new. And then a couple of guys in the community here were like, "Come on, let's drink. We're ready." Because I'm always a little, I'm very patient when it comes to that. Like when Grandma told me that I could serve like a long time ago, but I was like, no, I gotta feel it. You know, I have to feel what you're feeling within me, right? If I'm gonna do that. It took me a while to facilitate mushroom journeys too. Like I waited probably like 3 years before I felt like I was really ready to do it, and just practicing and training and putting all that time in, because it's a huge responsibility. You know, when you're taking care of a bunch of people in the room that are coming from all these different walks of life, all these different traumas, and it's interesting. And I think I'm obviously very sensitive to it because my biggest traumas came from molestation and rape, and so nine out of the 10 people that I work with that come to me, they've all experienced that. So it's like we're matching in frequency. So I'm like, man, if I'm gonna hold this space for somebody that went through that, and I know what that feels like I gotta be solid.
And it takes time, you know, like it takes time in the nervous system to build, you know, that type of capacity. And one of the main things like is doing that, you know, in a titrated way, like so slowly over time, so that you don't overwhelm the nervous system or re-traumatize yourself trying to do it.
Right.
But it's absolutely something that others will pick up on because if you're holding space for that, it's like you have had to have built that capacity. Yeah.
Re-traumatize yourself. That was something that they share with you in the Vipassana. Did you do Vipassana?
Yeah, remember we had the same similar experience.
That's right.
Yeah.
So remember in the teaching where they were saying, okay, so at the end of the 10 days, they give you, they guide you where you can redirect your energy out to somebody else, right? Everything is happening inward, but then once you get it and you understand it, you can redirect that energy. It's kind of, I guess, I don't know whether it's like Reiki or energy work or something like that, but they said you have to be very, very careful, because if while you're doing that, you go into a place of judgment, then you're going to, what they said was, I don't know if I believe in this or not, but they were like, you build more karma. And the energy that's already there, that's stuck, it will compound even more. So you're adding more suffering to yourself. So you have to be very, very finely tuned to understand like what you're doing, and that happens in ceremony. Like if I'm practicing, you know, like if I say, oh, okay, I'm gonna drink tonight, and I'm gonna have a ceremony because I'm gonna practice the mantra, and I'll have these moments where I'm watching my mind. I'm watching what I'm thinking. I'm watching how I'm reacting to the energies and the visuals and everything that's coming in. She's just training you, testing you to stay equanimous. And if you don't, you can like loop out, and then you got to loop back in, and then shake that off, right? Because it'll compound. The energies will stick onto you even more, and then you got to go and clean those out. It's cool.
I'm having this like visual that I had during the ceremony, and like what you're saying about like holding energy out, being able to hold space for people, right? So I think most of us are familiar with this sort of like vertical orientation. I can ground into Mother Earth, I can connect to spirit. I can be, centered in my heart. And then most people, I feel like, they're familiar with that. And then there's also this like horizontal orientation, which comes from building a lot of capacity in your nervous system for you to hold space like that. So for like, I'm a Reiki master and teacher, and so that is one of the things that I teach people. And it's, with Reiki attunements, what happens is the central channel widens. So it widens to be able to hold more energy and to hold and run more light through the body. And one of the things at the beginning of the ceremony that Eric was very, very beginning, and was saying the prayers. The medicine hadn't hit yet or anything. I'm just very visual in the way that I receive information. And he was doing prayers, and then your line was something, your prayer was something along the lines of the invocation. It was something along the lines of like, this land, like calling in protection to this land, 100 yards in all directions.
I call in the Great Spirit and the angels in heaven and the ascended masters to create a golden white light sphere around me and everybody in the room, around the yurt, 100 yards out in every direction off the land, north, south, east, and west, above, below, inside, and out.
So when that happened,
and then we're protected. And then the dragons, and I call them in too, and everybody.
With that specific line, like, and again, the medicine hadn't hit for me yet, but when that happened, I just saw light just go, and it was just like, almost like a nuclear explosion. Just, like light that went in all directions, and I was like, I sat up, and I was like, oh, okay, he means it. He's got this. Like, I feel protected,
That's the team.
It was great. It was like,
team.
I could feel that level of capacity to hold that amount of space and run that amount of light and energy through your body. And I don't feel that with like a lot of people. And so I was like, oh, he's got it. Great.
Right.
I can relax.
And you know why I do that is because like you know in Reiki, like when I work on people, I move energy. I move their energy out of them through me. Like if I do body work on people, I burp a lot and yawn because I'm releasing their energy, right? I'm pulling it, and I'm consciously agreeing to do that, right? So in the ceremonies, when you have a number of people in the room and somebody's in the room being resistant, I'm helping them release that and lift it up, and then sometimes I'll go over to them and I'll blow mopacho in their face. Or whatever it is, like, hey, stop out of it.
Stop glitching out.
Yeah, but if I don't clear that, right, if I don't call that in and create that sacred space, because basically what I'm doing is I'm saying that there's no lower frequency vibrations, entities, darks, that they're not allowed in the space. Because if they come in the space, then they can influence the people in the space, and they can get to me through them. They get to me sideways. They can't come through me because I'm protected by the dragons, but they can get to me through somebody else in the room. So I have to seal it so that I can work clearly and cleanly with that individual, so I don't have any interruptions.
Solid. Yeah, I felt it, I saw it, I relaxed, he's got it. I was like, great, that's great. I don't feel that with everybody, and so there comes a great level of, with that type of really deep, spiritual, ancestral, trauma, emotional, somatic healing that like ayahuasca can provide. It's of the utmost importance that someone has built that level of capacity to hold that space. And one of the main messages I had, like one of the main messages at the end, like towards the end of the ceremony for me, was I was just being guided to just keep gathering people in spaces where it all gets to exist, where all the light, the dark, everything inside that needs to be worked through, every emotion on full range of human spectrum, emotional scale, like it all gets to exist. And I was being guided, just keep gathering people. And I finally got this instruction to like, okay, bring people, that have been through your work, that have cleared childhood trauma, built capacity in their nervous system, like bring them here, you know, to Kauai to really like let ayahuasca act as this blood cleanser and really get to the ancestral trauma. And I got so excited, you know, because I've been waiting a long time for Kauai to like give me the cue. I was like, I'm not going to hold a retreat where it's like coming from the mental space, like the island really needs to tell me. And so that was really, really exciting for me. So that was one of the things. And the other was, we're all in this eternal now, and we're all in it together. And the thing is that brings us the most comfort and the most relief is to go through it together. And so there's this, you know, real emphasis on like continue to gather people, and I was being instructed to do it more in person because I do it all online now. And so to continue to gather people in person where it all gets to exist, you know, where we get to go and do the work together, you know, and we get to provide this comfort and relief, you know, for each other. And it was very, very clear for me of just keep gathering people where it all gets to exist. And one of the cool things about group healing, and this is what I do online, I have group programs. It's kind of this paradigm shift that's like happening in the healthcare industry, and which is, you know, this like one-on-one, you know, doctor-patient thing to, you know, you see a lot of therapists and coaches and somatic practitioners, all kinds of practitioners going online and creating group programs. And so in group spaces, like in medicine ceremonies, it's why it works so well is because every trauma, most of our trauma, let's face it, our trauma was made was made in connection, and so it needs to be healed in connection. And so in a space where there is co-regulation, meaning, you know, everyone that's sitting for the medicine ceremony, for example, everyone that's sitting can co-regulate to his regulated nervous system, or if I'm in the room, to my regulated nervous system, you know, and that in and of itself creates a healing, and it creates an opening, and it creates safety and a certain amount of trust in the body so that really deep healing can occur. And so there's just something about that, like it can't be replicated. Healing in community, in group, like it just can't be replicated.
Yeah, I mean, this is special. I'm really appreciating your breakdown, and that means a lot because I've actually never talked to anybody about it like this. This is the first time. I mean, we have little conversations here and there, but to hear you breaking it down, and while you're talking, I'm thinking about what I experienced and then what's been shared with me through my guides and angels and my ancestors and Grandma Ayahuasca and this process that I've been in for 10 years, because this is exactly what they told me, what you just said. As I started to go through my ancestral lineage healing, and that's why I've done so many ceremonies, because this all started for me in 2013. And when I went into my dark night of the soul, and I didn't want to pass my programming to the next generation. So I was faced with a fire and brimstone, like, you have to do this. And I started to do it, and I tried to do it without the medicine, and then the medicine just called me back. And as I was sitting in the medicine, probably 3 or 4 years into this, it was right around the time where I met the dragon, about 3.5, 4 years ago. Basically what was said to me was, after you're done going through this process of healing your lineage, and I closed that door 6 months ago, actually right here, they said, because you have done all this work with your lineage, you carry the frequency of a healed lineage. And so anybody who you sit with, anybody who chooses to be in your frequency, and they surrender to it, they trust, like you felt that in ceremony, then you level up, they'll level up quicker because of exactly what you just said. All it is it's just vibration and frequency, right? So if we can match each other, and we can do that collectively, this is collective conscious awakening. And that's the great purification. This is what the elders and the ancestors and the prophecy of the eagle and the condor, and what this time is all about is the great purification and the great awakening. So you have to ask, well, what are we purifying? What are we awakening? And I believe, based off of my personal experiences in my own life, that we are here to purify our lineages, purify the soul lineage and purify the DNA lineage with exactly what we're talking about. And what are we awakening to? We're awakening to who we forgot we really are. And they talk about this time as the time of remembering. And so we're remembering who we are, where we came from, why we're here, and what this whole awakening, ascension, new age time is, coming out of the Kali Yuga, coming out of it's the end of a certain time. We're the end of a cycle, the end of a cycle on Earth. We just happen to be here. So this is pretty cool, right? This has been going on for a long time. You just happen to be born at the time where one cycle is ending and a new cycle is beginning. So that's why this is so challenging and difficult and can be scary and terrifying, because we are the ones, we are the chosen ones. You are a chosen one because you chose to come here at this time. That's how special you are. That's how incredible of a human being you are, that you chose to be here at this time to do this work. This conversation and what we're talking about, this wasn't happening 20 years ago, 25 years ago. When I was 25 years old and doing what I was doing in New York City, I wasn't hanging around anybody, and nobody was talking about what we're talking about now. This has all come with the awakening and the purification and all these different medicines and wisdom keepers and grandmothers and grandfathers and prophecies and the Mayan calendar and the writings on the wall in Egypt and Lemuria and Atlantis and all this information coming forward. When I was 23 years old, I wasn't talking about Lemuria and Atlantis, but now it seems to be what everybody's talking about. And the reason why is because all that knowledge and all that information is coming back in the cycle. And this is the work that we have to do. And, it's an honor to be able to provide this service, to provide this medicine and provide this information in this way so that we can all help each other.
I love the conversation. Just thank you for sharing all that. It's well said. And I love the conversation around science meeting spirituality, because what's true is that we are all these we're all human beings living in a nervous system, a body that has a nervous system, and you can't spiritually bypass your nervous system. Your body, you can't spiritually bypass yourself. It's impossible. And the reason it's so important, why I've literally dedicated my entire life's work to helping people, rewire the nervous system, is because unless we're in a regulated state, which comes from clearing all of this trauma, from the body, unless we're in a regulated state, doesn't mean you have to be in it all the time. The goal is to develop responsiveness, in your nervous system, to move in and out of dysregulation. But unless, there's no system of the body that can heal unless we're in a regulated state. No system of the body can heal unless we're in a regulated state. And the other thing, couple of things, is unless we're in, it's called a ventral vagal state, unless we're in that state, when we are in that state, a regulated ventral vagal state, we can access compassion, which you better believe you need it, if you're going through trauma work or in holding space for others, compassion for yourself, compassion for others. And it's actually the only place inside a regulated state where we can access a sense of curiosity, which is a state of wonder and awe and exploration. Yeah.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah. And being able to move from, a chronic survival state, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever your tendency is, into creation mode. And that's just my life's mission. It's just to get people out of survival mode into creation mode, fully embodying their soul, so they can be fully in their power. And on purpose so that they can do what, do what we're here to do.
It's awesome. I mean, what else are you going to do?
I'm like, yeah,
This is it. We all need to do this.
Yeah, there's no human that doesn't need it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that, and I think some people maybe had some questions, and we can check to see that, but you can think about this when we will answer some questions. A lot of people are talking about, so back to the Great Purification and the Great Awakening, and that, we live in a third dimensional realm, and that we're moving into the fifth dimension, and that's the ascension, right? The awakening of this planet. Well, what does that mean? 3-dimensional frequency, 5-dimensional frequency. And I'm talking about, who we are at this time living on the planet, experiencing this, because we're right there. We're literally moving from the 3rd dimension through the 4th into the 5th. Well, here's the reality of that. You can't bring 3rd dimensional frequency trauma with you into the 5th dimension. So what I'm saying, you could be like, dude, this guy's out of his mind. He has no idea what he's talking about. He's crazy. Or some of you might say, oh yeah, I've heard about that. This awakening and purification in 3D, 5D, the whole new age and the new world, whatever. But think about this. If you have experiences in your 3-dimensional body and it creates judgment and fear and shame and guilt and insecurity and all these things that create anxiety and depression, right? Well, in the 5th dimension, what they say is it's only a love frequency. So our physical bodies are in a 3-dimensional frequency. So what has to happen to our physical body to be in the 5th dimensional frequency? And what happens to all of those energies and frequencies from the trauma from the 3D? That's why this time is so special, because that's literally happening right now. And there's a lot of people that talk about this. Dolores Cannon is one of them. She's amazing. And there's other people that are all talking about this. So we have to go through this process of purifying and awakening ourselves, and then we become that frequency, and then we become the beacons of light to show that to others who are doing this work, and we're all coming together to do this great purification within ourselves. And I love that. And what I think is going to happen is that the earth is going to transform into a star kingdom of only love. That's my vision. That's what motivates me. That's where I'm at all the time. Keep drinking ayahuasca. Treat my body like a temple. Eat good food. Detox. Keep my organs clean. Drink clean water. Breathe clean air. Eat organic food. I don't have to tell you, if you've been following me, you know that that's my lifestyle. But that's the reason why that's my lifestyle. Is so that so that my body, my physical body, can transform and hold the 5th dimensional frequency. And what some people are saying is that our cells are transforming into crystals. And it's the crystals that hold the 5D frequency. Crystalline cellular structure. But don't listen to me. Do your own research. Read a book, drink some ayahuasca, go to Vipassana, and look inside, because that's where it all happens.
So just feel how this lands in your body, Does it land
Right.
as truth? Is it let your body kind of really, when you've done enough work, you really can get to this place where you allow your body to be your North Star, and really honor. I tell people all the time, please honor the pace of your nervous system, because everyone's process and pace is very, very different. And so honor, really honor the body, and it's not that you have to bulldoze through your healing process. You know, it's like, in fact, please don't, because you'll
No.
overwhelm the system and re-traumatize yourself.
Exactly.
And so really honor, like, wherever anyone, try not to do the comparison game and I should be further along the path or whatever, but just honor, you know, where you're at and go at the pace. Never ever go faster than the pace, you know, of your nervous system. And if you really honor that, like, you can't go wrong.
I'm really loving this conversation, and when you chime in and you say something, because then it reminds me of something else, and I'm really enjoying the bounce back. Yeah, it's cool, because I say something and then you're like, oh yeah, and this, and I go, oh yeah, that thing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if there's any questions.
You want to look at it?
I saw. Well, I gotta get my glasses. I need my glasses because I'm 53 years old. 53. I think I saw some. I don't know if they're still here. Oh, Danielle, love this convo. You two compliment each other so much. Thank you for sharing. Love you, Danielle. That's Eric's sweetheart.
We could also do a follow-up of like Q&A if we wanted.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to in person with you soon. Long-time follower. I'm back with a new name again. I got a serious question, maybe a couple. Oh,
Is
Marty,
still
Mississippi.
here?
Are you still here? Do you have your couple of questions? We'll answer them if we can. Would love to do ceremony. Yes. Come on. Was that saying night occulty?
Night. Yeah.
Night occulty. Come on over. Send me a DM. Let's drink.
My childhood hero. Oh, cute. Way back MTV in the 90s. That's awesome.
Aw, childhood hero. That's awesome. I love you too. Real world. Launch technique helped me so much in ceremony. That's my brother, EJ. You know, Eric and I, we have this same first name and the same middle name.
Oh, wow.
Eric John.
Oh, wow.
And we're new besties.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions that's still
Has this been
feel free
helpful? That one?
Has it been helpful for any of your clients with chronic pain? If you have any chronic pain, 100,000%.
Huge.
If you're somebody that has autoimmune issues, chronic digestive issues, chronic pain, and you've gone through the ringer of Western medicine, and all like traditional remedies like have not been supportive for you, and like you kind of just find yourself like hitting a plateau. That's typically when I get people is when they've gone through that. And chronic pain is your body screaming at you. A lot of times it's the inner child screaming at you, you know, for your attention. And so chronic pain points to nervous system dysregulation, and underneath nervous system dysregulation is unresolved trauma, which is why both of us do the work that we do.
Exactly. And that's a big yes. Where are we? We're in Kauai by the beach. This background doesn't even look real. It's real. You got to see the sunrise. Sunrise is right behind there over that tree. So beautiful. All right, that's it.
Okay, awesome.
That's good.
Thanks for hanging on, those of you that are still with us. Super fun to share. I got really excited to share.
Oh,
Marty, Mississippi, I have serious trauma, probably more than anyone you know. Is it possible to help someone like me? 100%.
yes. Come see us.
Yeah.
Shoot me a DM. Let's get on the phone, Marty, and we can talk, and you can share it with me, your story, and I'll do the best that I can to guide you to the right place.
Yeah. And one of the things that I was guided in that ceremony was to, you know, people that are coming that maybe they haven't been through like my particular programs of like trauma resolution and somatic work, but to actually like take people, I haven't shared this with you yet, but to take people through like 10 weeks of building capacity in your nervous system, so that when you come and sit, your nervous system has a baseline of like physiological safety. And so there's oftentimes with people with a ton of trauma, serious trauma, it's they think that they're going to be overwhelmed by it. You know, they think it's going to just take them down. So, what's that?
Jody.
Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Yeah.
I miss you. I love you. How are you? Ooh, this one's hard in the middle.
And so to finish that, Marty, it's just safety. It's finding safety in the body and building capacity in the nervous system, and it's all possible. Healing's always possible. The body's actually always working towards healing. Something I learned a long time ago in my trainings is every system has, and they call it an inner physician or an inner wisdom that knows what it needs to heal. That's why it's tune into your own truth. How is this landing in your body? Is true. And then the other is, the body's always working towards healing.
Yeah, it wants to. And that's the interesting thing, is what I was talking about earlier, right? It's air, fire, water, and earth. Like, we are air, fire, water, and earth. And nature is constantly regulating itself naturally, always. It's the mind. We have trauma, and then it creates a way of thinking about ourselves and about other people, and this is where judgment comes in and fears come in, and then insecurity, and then we start creating stories. I'm not good enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not whatever enough, when you are an eternal being of infinite knowledge and light and love, limitless. The body knows that. The air, the fire, the water, and the earth that we are knows that without even thinking about it. There's no thought. It's when our minds get involved that's what creates disharmony within the four elements. And so what we're doing is helping to deprogram the mind and to release those energies, those emotions that are in the body that are causing the disharmony within the four elements. I mean, that's as simply as I can break it down. And so if you want to understand yourself and you want to understand how your body operates and functions, go out and observe nature.
Yeah, and something you said, just to ping pong off that, which is the reason we have, if you don't remember anything, remember this: state precedes story. Your physiological state will precede the story in your mind. And so if your body's stuck in this chronic state of dysregulation, you're going to be oriented towards negativity, worst case scenario. You won't even have access to, like, this could work out for me, or I could heal, or positive possibilities. And so that's the reason we do all this body-based work, through somatic therapy, nervous system strengthening, ayahuasca. You have to get to the body. You have to clear the body in order to change the mind. So if you're in a regulated state, then you become oriented to, creative solutions for your life, and, like, how good can it get, and expecting miracles and things like that. But when we're stuck in, dysregulation from unresolved trauma, we're very much oriented towards negativity.
Yeah. I remember you, Marty. I remember you from what you just wrote before 12/21/12. That you were finally killed off. That reminded me of you. Okay, we'll talk, Marty. Love you, everybody who tuned in and listened. Looking forward to doing it again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yay.
So fun. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope this was supportive for you. Let us know if you have any questions, and I'm sure we'll do it again.
Yeah. Till next time.
Till next
Aloha.
time. Aloha.
Love you.